It's time to put the kettle on. It's Sunday. It's time for a weekly recap. So this is something that I'm going to start doing on kind of like a trial basis, I guess, where I talk about the books that I've been reading this week, what movies I've watched, the projects that I've been working on in my voice acting, and also at the end of the video, I'll talk about the books that are coming out this week that, pretty interested to read. Okay, so let's start by talking about what I've been reading. The first book I want to talk about is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. So I'm not going to give any spoilers for any of these books, so you don't have to worry. But this is the book that the Patreon members chose, and we're all reading it together. We're reading little sections of it over the course of this month. And The Parable of the Sower is a dystopian novel about a young woman named Lauren Olamina who is living in a society? No, she's not. She's living in a society that's collapsing. To make things even worse, she also suffers from something called hyperempathy, which means that she can physically feel the pain of others when she witnesses their pain. So when I first picked up this book, I was expecting it to be a little bit like The Dog Stars, in a way. I'm talking about the world that it takes place in. But no, it's much more like Cormac McCarthy's The Road. There's some obvious differences between this world and the world of The Road, but the violence, the devastation that people are kind of living in their day-to-day lives is pretty brutal and bloody. I'm over the moon that the book club chose this book for us to all read together, because it's the kind of book that encourages a lot of discussion. And I have to say that on the Discord, things were getting pretty intense. I just say that. Things were getting pretty intense in the conversation that we were having. Don't get me wrong, everyone's getting along. Right, everyone's still friends. We all still love each other. I'm going to keep you updated on how this one progresses. I'm really enjoying it so far. Also reading The Horns by Joe Hill. This has much more of a playful vibe than Parable of the Sower. Definitely not as serious. It's a little bit grotesque, but, I'm into it. This book is about a man who is grieving the loss of his girlfriend who was murdered. And ever since then, he's just been spiraling out of control. He wakes up after a bit of a wild night and then touches the back of his head and he realizes, hang on a minute, what is that? That wasn't there yesterday. Yeah, he's growing horns. And, the weird thing about these horns is that they grant him the ability to, is that right to say that they grant him the ability? Yeah, kind of. Basically, whenever he speaks to people, since he's had these horns, they can't help but be completely forthcoming with everything that's on their mind. It's kind of like they've taken a truth serum and they're going to tell him exactly what they're thinking and lose all their inhibitions. You might think, oh, that sounds good because then you know what's on everyone's mind. But maybe not, because when he's knocking about with friends or family members, they're revealing truths that they think about him on like a day-to-day basis that aren't really flattering. And, if you find out that the people that you love think certain things about you that aren't, they're a bit negative, I think that could be pretty painful. And so, yeah, he's going through that. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes it's sad. Yeah, these people, they're not holding back at all. Also, and again, this isn't a spoiler, it's on the back of the book. A lot of people suspect that he was the person that murdered his girlfriend. And so now he's deciding that he's going to use these horns to solve his girlfriend's murder, to catch the killer, and also to clear his name as well. Again, all in the synopsis, right? I'm not spoiling the book for you. I'm about 30% of the way through so far. And again, I'm really enjoying it. The month has started off great. So that brings us to what have I been watching? I'm a little bit busy, I gotta be honest. And so, just in general, my life is pretty structured. I time block everything. And so I only really have time to watch one movie a week. And so that's what I'll do in these weekly updates. I'll tell you about the movie that I watch. And because I only have time to watch one movie a week, I have to be really selective with what I watch. And so this week I decided to watch Anora, because it won the Oscar. It won the Oscar for Best Picture. And Mikey Madison, who was the lead actress, won the Oscar for Best Performance. So, yeah, I had to check it out. Also, another bit of information, my wife watched Anora and she told me she really didn't like it. She just thought it was average, you know, she didn't know what the big fuss was about. And so kind of having these two pieces of information, it won the Oscar for Best Picture and also my wife didn't like it, just made me curious, you know, and so I decided to check it out and I really liked it. I thought it was good. It doesn't really surprise me either because my wife and I kind of have quite different tastes sometimes when it comes to movies. Not completely different, but sometimes, you know, we just really like different stuff. Honora is a story about a sex worker from New York, from Brighton Beach, and she gets hired by the son of a Russian oligarch for an entire week. He basically hires her services for an entire week and they kind of fall in love. And it seems like, oh, you know, maybe this is a bit of a Pretty Woman or like a modern day Cinderella story, you know? But of course, you know, there's got to be a little bit of drama. And so things go wrong. I think the thing that I liked most about this movie was the dialogue. It's got this really sort of naturalistic tone to it. I think a lot of the dialogue, especially when they're arguing and that kind of thing, is improvisational. It's a little bit like Uncut Gems in that way, where everyone's just interrupting each other. And as you're watching it, you're just kind of catching pieces of dialogue rather than each character all having their big moment and all having their piece of dialogue that they get to say, little bit of witty banter, quick back and forth. I don't like that kind of Hollywood unrealistic way that people speak in movies. The most obvious version that I can think of is like the Marvel movies. Robert Downey Jr. is going to have his little did that just happen? You know, moment. And it can be funny, but also it's not realistic. With a movie like this, it kind of feels more like you're a fly on the wall and you're just witnessing the chaos of these people's lives. And I think that when a movie is able to do that, it feels a bit more authentic and you can feel more invested in the characters. Speaking of the characters, Mikey Madison's performance, yeah, just really brilliant. I liked that character a lot. She's really feisty. She's quite streetwise and she is ready to get violent at the drop of a hat. She's got a quick temper. And yeah, I really like that character. I liked all the characters. All of the side characters felt really well developed. And yeah, just a brilliant cast. So like I say, I only really get to watch one movie a week. And so I kind of plan ahead what movie I'm looking forward to watching. I think I'm going to watch a movie today called Companion, which is a sci-fi thriller horror about a girl who goes away with her friends and her boyfriend to this getaway, and then all these like secrets get revealed. And judging by the trailer, it's quite a bloody movie. It looks like a bit of a popcorn horror, but I don't mind. I like that sort of thing. So what have I been recording? If you don't know, I'm also a voice actor slash audiobook narrator. And so this week, I've mostly been working on Panacea, which is a Greek-inspired fantasy trilogy written by Alex Robbins. And if that name sounds familiar, it's because I recorded another trilogy by the same author. The other trilogy was The War of the 12. And that's the one where I did like the giveaway because Alex said that, oh, you know, you can give your audience like 10 Spotify vouchers to listen to the first book. And that was very generous of him. So yeah, it's fun. I'm getting to work with him again. Really enjoying reading the book. I will admit to some early bumps in the road, and that is mainly due to the fact that there are some Greek words that I'm just not familiar with, you know? And so what I decided to do is individually record each of these words and kind of put them on a bit of a spreadsheet that I use, so that I can just listen to them and remind myself, oh, okay, so that's how you say that word. That's where the emphasis in the word goes, do you know? Also, the accents are not quite as diverse from one another. So that's like another little challenge where I'm trying to differentiate the characters' voices from one another. That's important, right? When you're recording an audio book so that the listener can really enjoy the experience and know who's talking and when. But, you know, at the same time, there's no Northerners. There's no Cockneys, there's no Americans, there's no Geordies or Irish characters, and you can do that more in a medieval European. I know Greece is in Europe. But say I suppose British inspired fantasy. You can mess around with the accents a bit more. In this, the characters sound a little more similar, so I'm having to sort of discover ways that maybe this one's got a higher tone, maybe this one's a bit more raspy, maybe this one speaks a bit more clipped, and so that's how I'm trying to differentiate the characters. I did a lot of work with Alex before I started recording, and that was really useful. He's really helpful as well when recording an audio book. He gives a lot of feedback, and so that's great. And I've got another trilogy that I'm speaking with another author about, and I'm going to start recording that relatively soon as well. But right now the focus is on Panacea. I had another job as well, which was like a promo piece for a bit of software. Voicing like advertisements for technology are almost always my worst because, again, there's so many different technical terms that I need to be able to say quite quickly, even though I might be able to pronounce the technical term, and more often than not, I'm already going to know the word. It's just sort of getting your mouth to work around a word that you're very rarely saying in day-to-day life. And then to make things worse, and I'm not going after the client or anything like that, but they kept coming back to me saying, it needs to be faster, it needs to be faster, it needs to be faster, it needs to be within this time frame. There were so many words that needed to be fit inside of 30 seconds that in the end, I was trying to be like, what's his name? Eminem in Rap God. You remember that verse when he's like, summon another human so I can get in front of you. It was like that. I was like trying to fit it inside there. And then in the end, I had to say, listen, I'm so sorry. This is the fastest I can possibly say it. If this isn't good enough, then maybe we just need to cancel the job, which is fine. That happens sometimes. It looks like that's where that's headed. But that was like a funny experience. Me just absolutely sweating in my little recording studio at 5 a.m. Also, something that happened this week, which was a bit of a unique experience, is that, and I mentioned this in my last video, I found a dog that was running around outside in my little neighborhood. And I was walking my dog. I've got a little French bulldog. I've got two French bulldogs. I was walking Poe, and my wife was walking Milton, the other dog. And Poe is a little bit of a wild boy, and he saw this dog and he kind of, and then the dog came running over. No leash or anything like that, just came running over. Obviously, it just got loose. And my dog, he's very nice, but when he's on the leash, for some reason, he just sort of, he just feels like defensive or something. He plays very nice when he's off the leash, but he just kind of felt really defensive. And he started like snapping a little bit at the dog. And by the way, this dog was a pit bull. I think it was a pit bull anyway, maybe like a pit bull mix. Much bigger than my Frenchie. So I don't know. He's got that scrappy do energy, let me at him, I had to take my dog, put him inside, get my other dog, get them inside. And then I walked this dog all around the neighborhood for about 3 hours, knocking on doors, trying to find out, does anyone know who owns this dog? Like, it just got loose. And then eventually what I had to do is take the dog in for the night. I sat with her for, an hour or so just to get her relaxed, get her a nice bed, some food and water. And I was just reading Horns for a little while. And then, I left her overnight in this little box room that we have. And then the next day, still couldn't find the owner. And so I had to take her to the animal shelter, to see if they knew anything about it, if she's got a chip or anything. And what it turns out, how weird is this? The dog had been lost and taken to the animal shelter 2 weeks ago. So the dog had been lost, taken to the animal shelter. The owner came, picked up the dog, brought it home, lost it again. And I found it and took it down to the animal shelter. Careless, you know what I mean? Bad dog owner, I think. You know, once is fine. Things happen, don't they? You know? But over the course of less than a month, to lose your dog twice, what are you doing? What are you doing? I also went to a library sale on Friday. I took the day off of work for it. It was great. And I picked up some bargains, man. I'm going to make a video all about that library sale and the books that I picked up. I'm really excited, but I might show you a quick picture of the cart that I used to give you an idea of how many books I picked up. And yeah, I'm going to tell you in that video like how much it costs and what the experience was like and all that kind of thing. But yeah, it was just great. It was a day well spent, just being around book lovers, just, you know, just being around books. It's what we love, ain't it? What else did I do? Oh, yeah. My wife and I last weekend went to an ABBA. No, what was it? It was Mamma Mia. We went to Mamma Mia. And that was a lot of fun as well. I'm not like some big ABBA fan. My wife likes them a bit more than I do, honestly. But the show was good. It was funny. I never saw the movie. Again, we got different movie tastes, you know, but it's just funny, you know, because if you would have asked me beforehand, how many ABBA songs do you know? I would have guessed, I don't know, 4, 5 ABBA songs. No, it turns out I know about 20. So yeah, they had some bangers. So what am I looking forward to? I am looking forward to, now that I've got all these new books, I'm actually going to rearrange my bookshelves. You can see these bookshelves in the background, but I've got more bookshelves over there, more bookshelves over there, and I'm actually going to get another bookshelf. I know. It's becoming a problem. I not only have a book addiction, I have a bookshelf addiction. The reason I want to get this bookshelf is that I kind of want to arrange my shelves to have a few more ornaments to sort of beautify them a little bit and celebrate the books that they're holding. I don't know if you ever get those kind of urges. And so I'm going to make another video about that where, and also what I want to do is kind of like alphabetize my bookshelves. What you see in the background here, I'm going to keep this penguin classic thing all lined up, all nice, but I want to have like a nice Stephen King shelf, and I just want, when I need to pick up all these books, I want them all to be in alphabetical order, because you probably don't realize this, but when I'm making like top 10 lists or something like that, I spend ages hunting for the book. I'm like, I know I have it. I know I have it somewhere and I just can't find it. That's so annoying to me. And that's an experience I go through pretty much weekly. So alphabetizing everything is going to make things run a bit more smoothly when I'm creating these videos. Also, I'm going to be setting up a new channel, and this channel is just going to be purely audiobooks that I release. Obviously not the ones that I'm paid to release. I'm talking about the short classics that I release. So far I've done 2. I've done A Christmas Carol and also An Honest Thief I released last week by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I'm going to release them all onto a separate channel, and I'm going to be setting that up, I think, next week. So then all of the future audiobooks that I release, I'm thinking about maybe doing a quick one, like something like The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe, and releasing it on there as well. And so, yeah, I'll let you know when that new channel comes out. I've got Monday and Tuesday off work, so I'm going to sort of make a few more videos, I think, and then do loads and loads and loads of reading, and then obviously work on the audiobooks that I have to record for, well, just work on Panacea, basically. So, you know, it's a day off. It's a day off from my full-time job to work on my part-time jobs, basically, and read. And then one final update is I'm talking with Cliff's Dark Gems at the moment. He's invited me onto his channel. He said that he'd quite like to just have me on there, have a little chat, and I'm looking forward to it. I gotta be honest, I'm a little bit like nervous about it, you know, not nervous, you know, but sort of like I've never done it before, and so I don't know how good I will be in that situation. you know, obviously the first time you do anything, you just feel a little bit like, oh, you know, we're a bit unsure about it. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to going on his channel. I really like Cliff, and I like the content that he puts out. So that'll be great to go over there and have a chat with my mate. All right, so let's talk about the books that are coming out this week. There's one in particular that I'm sort of looking forward to, and that is Luminous by a debut author, Sylvia Park. It's coming out on March 11th. And yeah, such a beautiful cover. In a future where robots are like really deeply integrated into society, but treated as second-class citizens, there are two estranged siblings, Yun and Morgan, and they're still kind of like haunted by the loss of their brother Yo-Yo, who was an incredibly lifelike robot. So you kind of get the idea of how integrated these robots are in society, that they think of Yo-Yo as a brother. So Yun is now a detective that investigates robot-related crimes, and he's drawn back into Morgan's world, like during an investigation where she designs cutting-edge androids, including one that she's secretly fallen in love with. And meanwhile, you've got an ailing girl named, how am I going to pronounce this? Ruji. And she discovers a discarded robot boy who seems pretty human. As Yun's investigation uncovers hidden truths about their country and their family, the siblings have to confront their past and redefine what it means to be human. I feel like redefining what it means to be human is present in every single robot or AI book and movie and any other piece of media that I've ever consumed, you know? It redefines what it means to be human. All right, yeah, okay. No, in all honesty, it does sound really interesting, and I'm always a bit of a sucker for robot sci-fi. I just like it. I enjoy it. So yeah, that's coming out March 11th, and it's called Luminous. So that leads me to the big question of the week. Again, this kind of video is going to be a little bit of a trial basis to see if people enjoy this kind of thing. The question of the week that I'd like to ask you this week is, if you could bring a piece of technology or a magical power from a book, what would that be and why? And how would you use it in your day-to-day life? Would be really interested to hear the answer to that question. So if you want to let me know in the comment section below. Thanks so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. And as always, happy reading.